Many players come and go in the high school spotlight, but with this What Happened to series, I'm going to update you on the high school stars that you have forgotten. Let's dive into it. Number 1, Dominic Artis. Dominic Artis is a 5'11" point guard out of California. If you were around during the early Ye's Area's Finest videos in 2011 to 2012, you are pretty familiar with him. DA had the crazy handle that was mixed team worthy, had the knockdown shot, and really did everything on the court. He wasn't a player who would wow you, he was more of an old school point guard that can dribble and pass at a high level, while also knocking down shots. Artis played with some of the best players on the West Coast with the Oakland Soldiers, and he stood out as a facilitator, and he did that extremely well. He was a 4-star prospect but ended up being the best point guard on the West Coast by his senior year. In his senior season, he played for Findlay Prep High School with another star high school player, Brandon Ashley, and led them to a 32-1 season and the ESPN High School Invitational title. After high school, he took his talent to the University of Oregon, where he played a pivotal role his freshman year as the starting point guard. He started 25 of 28 games. He played while missing 9 games due to injury. His first year, he led the team in assists and ranked 6th in the Pac-12 in steals with 1.2. He was looking like the future of the program while leading the team to a 28-9 record. He finished the season averaging 8.5 points, 3.2 assists, and 2 rebounds. He didn't shoot that great from the field, but that is expected out of a freshman in his first year. But he did average 36% from the 3. He was the steady point guard throughout the freshman season and led the Ducks to the Sweet 16 when they eventually lost to the champion Louisville Cardinals. To me, after his freshman season, he looked like an NBA player. I'm not saying he should have left after his freshman year, but if he would have stayed 3 to 4 years, I think he would have had a good shot of making a roster. Even though he was 5'10" to 6 foot, he had a high IQ and had great awareness to step into passing lanes on defense, and if the shooting became more efficient, I think he could have been a backup point guard for a long time in the league in the mold of a Tyus Jones. At the beginning of DA's second year at Oregon, he got suspended 9 games for 17 years. Him alongside teammate Ben Carter was suspended, and DA's starting spot was taken by senior Jonathan Lloyd. DA would play in 25 games and start in 6, but he would have a drop in all stats, obviously with the minutes decrease. And looking back, he just didn't look the same on the court as he did his first year. He wasn't as aggressive defensively, and his shooting percentages took a dip as well. Then, 2 weeks before the 2014 NCAA tournament, Artis along with 2 other teammates were accused of sexual assault allegations. They all ended up playing the rest of the season, but they were dismissed from Oregon as the investigation continued and the team didn't want them representing Oregon anymore. None of them were charged due to a lack of evidence and conflicting statements from the accuser, but DA had to bounce. He ended up going the JUCO route with Diablo Valley College before going to the University of Texas El Paso in the 2015-16 season. He played 2 seasons with UTEP. His senior year was the best season, averaging 15 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 6 assists to go along with 2 steals, while shooting 44% from the field. He was second on the team in scoring. He led them in rebounding, assists, and steals, and was named second team All-Conference USA. He had many highs throughout his time with UTEP, even hitting a game-winning jumper to beat FIU. He finished the season with 187 assists, which was 3rd in school history for assists in a season. After he graduated, Artis moved on to his professional career overseas, where he played in the Polish Basketball League from 2017 to 2019. He had played in the Polish League for a couple different teams, putting up good numbers like 15, 6, and 6. Now, according to his Instagram, he is planning on playing in the Slovenian League for his 3rd year of professional basketball in 2020. And even though he didn't make it to the league like I once thought was possible, he looks happy and is taking care of his family doing what he loves, so shout out to Dominic Artis. Number 2, Stanley Johnson. Stanley Johnson was a big-time performer his whole high school career. Standing at 6'7", he could do it all. In his first couple of years, he played the post position before transitioning into a big guard his last 2 years of high school. He won 4 straight CIF state titles in high school, becoming the first player in California history to do that. He could play all 5 positions. He had the ability to see over the defense with his 6'7" frame, had a nice shooting form, and the lateral quickness to compete with anybody on defense. It was clear early in his high school days he was a high major prospect. He played AAU with the Oakland Soldiers like most of the premier California prospects, and he was the clear-cut best player on the West Coast. He dominated all of the summer basketball camps. It was clear he was the guy. By his senior season, he was rated as the #3 overall prospect, #1 small forward, and #1 player in California, according to Rivals. He averaged 25 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists, and almost 3 steals in his last year in high school. He was a McDonald's All-American, Jordan Brand Classic participant, and Max Preps National Player of the Year to go along with a number of Conference Player of the Year awards. He was a clear-cut, one-and-done prospect, no doubt about it. For college in 2014, Stan decided to go to the University of Arizona. The team he went to was loaded with talent. Brandon Ashley was a top prospect. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson was a 5-star prospect in 2013. Caleb Tarczewski was a 5-star prospect. And to go along with that, they had point guard TJ McConnell. They ended up going 34-4, making it all the way to the Elite 8 in Stan's first year. He averaged 13.8 points, almost 7 rebounds, and 2 assists and 2 steals. He shot well from the 3 at 37% and from the field overall at 44%. He was Pac-12 Freshman of the Year and won the Dr. J Small Forward of the Year award. Many NBA scouts were salivating to get Stanley on their team because of his potential. He had a great NBA body, great athleticism, and a chiseled frame. He was getting compared to Kawhi Leonard by scouts coming out of Arizona. And honestly, I can't blame the scouts for the comparison. He could guard multiple positions like a Kawhi in college. He was a great on-ball defender and could get into passing lanes, and he was more advanced than Kawhi offensively. And Johnson still had a lot of upside. Stan declared for the draft and was selected #8 by the Detroit Pistons in 2015, which was the same year his mother died from cancer. Since being in the league, he has only averaged 8 points twice in his career, both with Detroit in 2 of his first 3 years. He hasn't been shooting well from the field or from the three-point line. And in this NBA, if you don't do that consistently, it's hard for you to stay on a roster, especially when nothing else in your game is spectacular. After 3 years with the Pistons during the 2018-19 season, the Pelicans thought a change of scenery was what he needed, so they traded Nikola Mirotic for Stanley and Jason Smith. But Stan did not perform well enough, so he was not re-signed by the team, and now in 2020, he is currently with the Toronto Raptors. He was dealing with a groin injury in the beginning of the season, but now he is getting little to no playing time for the Raptors. Most would say Stanley Johnson is a bust, and looking at his career so far, you would be correct. But a lot of your success has to do with your situation and how you were played. I would also think the passing of his mother has affected the growth of his game. His mom was a big reason why he started playing basketball in the first place, and losing her at such a young age could have been, and probably was, a stunt in his development. But I also don't think Stan played the right position in the league yet. Coming into the league, he was drafted as a small forward. I see him more as a big point guard, just like how Miami was using Justice Winslow. I see him in that mold and not a small forward. But we will have to see if a team gives him an opportunity to play the position. For his career, he has only averaged a little under 2 assists a game. I don't know if he will get to show that in the NBA that he could be a good point guard, but it feels like his career is on its last legs unless something changes. But I think he will flourish at that position. I've always loved Stan's game, and I think he can still play a key role for a team if given the opportunity. #3, Jabari Bird. Jabari Bird was a prototypical shooting guard out of Vallejo, California. Standing at 6'6", 190 pounds in high school, he had the physical tools to overmatch his opponents. He had an excellent shooting form and excellent athleticism, especially in transition, creating many posters throughout his high school career. Over the summer, he played with the Oakland Soldiers and led them to a Peach Jam title in 2012. By his senior season, Jabari was a consensus top 20 prospect and had guided Salesian High School as a junior to the state championship. Over his 4 years at Salesian, he led them to an 108 record while leading them to a #1 ranking in the state by his senior year. He was a 2-time Bay Area News Group East Bay Player of the Year, and he averaged 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists per game his senior season. He was a 5-star prospect and a McDonald's All-American in 2013. For school, he chose to stay home and go to the University of California, following his father's footsteps, who played there in the mid-70s. Even though Jabari was a top prospect, he had a slow start at Cal. His first couple of years, he averaged 8 and 10 points respectively on good field goal percentages, but not the numbers you would expect out of a scoring 5-star prospect. But many things didn't go his way at Cal. He had a coaching change midway through his career, and he also was over-recruited. By his junior season, Cal brought in Jaylen Brown and Ivan Rabb, who were both top 10 to 15 prospects in their class, so Jabari was no longer the focus of the future. Obviously, that's not the coach's fault. You have to get the most talent you can, but it was just a situation. His junior season, he had to get in where he fit in, and it led to another 10-point season. Injuries also slowed down Jabari's career at Cal. He missed 4 games as a freshman with an ankle injury, 10 games with a foot injury as a sophomore, 6 with back problems, and 2 for a concussion as a senior. Jabari's best year was his senior year. Jaylen Brown and Ivan Rabb had left, so he was back to being the main scorer for the team. He averaged 14 points and 5 rebounds while shooting 44% from the field and 36% from the 3. He scored 20 or more points 8 times in the 2016-17 season, and he ended up being 5th in Cal history with 3-pointers made and 7th for 3-pointers made in a season with 65. Many scouts rated Jabari as a second-round to undrafted draft prospect, but he reminded some scouts of Terrence Ross coming out of college. He showed enough flashes of being an NBA talent with his consistent 3-point shooting and his athleticism in his senior year to be drafted in the 2nd round, pick 56 to the Boston Celtics. In September of 2017, Bird was signed to a 2-way contract by the Celtics. Under the terms of the deal, he split time between the Celtics and their G League affiliate, the Maine Red Claws. In his first NBA game, he played 13 minutes and scored 3 points in a win over the 76ers, even though he spent most of his time with the G League affiliate, Maine Red Claws, scoring 19 points per game, getting 5 rebounds and 3 assists per game. When he was called back up to the NBA in April of 2018, he scored 15 points in 24 minutes for the Celtics in a game against the Bulls, which showed he could play in the NBA. In July of 2018, the Boston Celtics re-signed Bird for a guaranteed deal. But in September of 2018, Bird was arrested and was facing domestic abuse and kidnapping charges. According to reports, he choked his girlfriend 12 times, kicked her, and threw her against a wall while holding her against her will for over 4 hours. Before the incident occurred, it was revealed that Bird was previously dealing with emotional issues, including panic attacks. Many say this was out of his character and something deeper was going on with the situation. On February 2019, Bird was traded to the Atlanta Hawks along with cash considerations in exchange for a conditional 2020 second-round pick. He was waived the following day. The last I've heard, Jabari is still awaiting his trial for the charges. It was set for October 2019, but it seems to have been pushed back to January 2020, but I haven't heard of anything regarding a sentencing or an acquittal, so I don't know what happened. If you want to believe an International Celtics page, it says he is free, he has become a teacher at a gym, and continues to play and train at the San Francisco Pro-Am while undergoing psychiatric treatment. That is an unreliable source, but that's the last any of us have heard of him since the incident. I just want to thank everybody who watched this video. If you got all the way to the end, I really rock with you. Definitely follow me on Twitter and put in the comments who you want to see next on the What Happened To series. I'm out. Peace.